Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show and the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. Yesterday, while I was doing some show prep, I ran across this story, and I wanted to relay it to my audience just in case you missed it. It originally ran on Cleveland.com, which is, no, it's not something to do with Family Guy. It's an outlet for both the Cleveland Plain Dealer and the Sun News. The title of the article was, Postal Service says it is immune from local traffic laws. The article began, the notorious East Cleveland traffic cameras nabbed U.S. Postal Service vehicles breaking the law 7 times and sent a notice to the local post office with the bad news every driver hates to see. A picture of the infraction and a demand for payment. Jennifer Breslin, she's senior litigation counsel for the Postal Service, instead of sending payment, sent a letter stating in part, quote, in providing mail service across the country, the Postal Service attempts, that's my emphasis, to work within local and state laws and regulations when feasible. Oh, how nice of them. The Postal Service is going to attempt to work within local and state laws and regulations. That is, if they feel like it. Her letter continued, quote, however, as you are probably aware, the Postal Service enjoys federal immunity from state and local regulation. The Postal Service requires its employees to obey all traffic laws and rules while operating Postal Service vehicles. However, the state and or local ordinances imposing penalties and fines cannot be enforced as against the Postal Service. So the feds don't have to obey your little local laws, if anyone is surprised by this attitude. After all, the federal government has been trampling on local and state laws for years now, with no ill effects. Why does it surprise anyone they would think themselves above the law? East Cleveland City Mayor Gary Norton said he was flummoxed. He issued the statement, quote, I was unaware that the post office doesn't have to stop at red lights or obey the speed limit, but since they aren't, I wish I'd get my mail faster. So Mayor Norton said if an individual driving a mail vehicle was stopped by a police officer, the individual would be responsible. But he wonders why the post office dodged instead of giving up the culprits responsible for the traffic infractions. It's very simple, Mayor Norton. The federal government thinks it's above everyone else in this country. I've said it over and over on this show. We are upside down in this country. The people are on the bottom, then the states, with the federal government at the top, when it is supposed to be exactly opposite. To repeat myself, which I've said here on this show over and over, we were here first, then the states, then the federal government. Thus, we have all the rights, then the states, and the last in line is the federal government. As for wondering why the Postal Service didn't tell who was driving the vehicles breaking the traffic laws, it's because the feds cover themselves. They don't acknowledge that someone working for them has to answer for anything to anyone other than to the federal government. It's really that simple. They're not hiding anything. They just don't think they have anything to answer for. And how dare you try and impose or subject one of their people to your laws anyway? I thought that was a really good story and just another example of the federal government deciding it doesn't want to obey what you've got to say. One last story here I want to get to as well. Yeah, we've got a little bit of time here. And I want to get to this because it relates to gun control. And I've been covering this the past few weeks, and we've been talking about here, since the shooting in December. Now, this is out of Atlanta, Georgia. This last Thursday, an armed guard stopped a school shooter after he opened fire at Price Middle School, which is located just south of downtown Atlanta. A student opened fire at his middle school Thursday afternoon, wounding a 14-year-old in the neck before an armed officer working at the school was able to get the gun away. The armed resource officer who took the gun away was off duty and at the school, but police didn't release details on him or whether he is regular stationed at Price Middle. Amazing. A shooter plus armed officer equals armed officer wins. How do you like that math?
I've not heard anything about that.
Well, you're not.
I've not heard the first thing about that. We've heard about every other shooting.
Yeah. It's because that argument doesn't work with taking your guns away.
It makes too much sense.
Yes.
If it makes too much sense, we can't use it.
And if we talk about this story, then, I don't know, we might have to acknowledge maybe the NRA was right. Maybe we need an armed officer in every school.
Yeah.
And we are not acknowledging that. You know, the media has this argument that they're absolutely against that. So, yeah, that is just not going to be mentioned. Yet we had wall-to-wall coverage of Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
But no coverage of this. And even if they didn't want an armed officer in every school, at least allow the teachers or any other adult on campus to carry their weapon if they have a permit and defend themselves. And others should the situation arise, I would think.
The officer didn't have an assault weapon, did he? It wasn't used.
I would assume not. I would assume, and
that blows that out of the water.
Yeah. Da-doonch. But from the story, it just says he was able to get the gun away. So I don't know if he had to draw down on him or he just went over and grabbed it.
They'll never tell us.
Oh, we'll never get the full story
get the details
on
on that. Anything else we will. It have the color of socks and underwear the guy was wearing, but no.
Yeah, and the fact that we need to just do away with guns. If we could just do away with that, then we'd be fine.
Yeah, no other place in the world, no other country manufactures guns or anything. Just America. That's
just America. Well, and you know we've banned drugs too.
And you see, you know,
we don't have any drugs.
No,
in
you
here
can't
at
get
all.
drugs because they're all illegal. So it's worked.
Yeah, it works perfectly.
Good plan.
So we can ban drugs.
No, that's sarcasm.
Yeah. Yes, it's very heavy in the room when I'm in here. Yeah. Just a overhanging sarcasm floating around. But it's almost like these people continue to pray for another shooting to help advance their legislative agenda on the corpses of some more dead people. And hey, if they shoot some children, all the better. It'll just make it easier to sell that tyrannical law to a grieving and gullible public. It's kind of like taking advantage of someone who has gone through a bad breakup. And you want to be nice and listen to their pain while all the time maneuvering them towards your bedroom. You know, that just sounds real classy, doesn't it?
It's the truth.
It is the truth. That's exactly what happens.
The ugly, ugly truth.
Yeah, baby. He's so mean and everything. Why don't you lay down, you know, and relax?
Here, let me rub your shoulders.
Tori's a little too good at that.
Are your feet sore?
Yeah, just hand over your rights. All right. What are we coming up on the end here, Tori? Oh, yeah, okay.
It's time to go home and get the Boston butt out of the smoker.
All right. If you, there's Super Bowl party at Tori's.
Yep.
Yeah, you just have to know where you live. Just drive around Seymour and look for all the cars. And the police.
Yes.
Follow the police where they're going, and you'll find Tori's house.
And the Applewood smoke.
All right. All right. Thank you again for listening to the Patrick Riggins Show this week here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. If you want more information about us, go to facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. Also hit that like button. You can also go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. And all the archives are there. If you want to listen to something from this show, it'll be up in, probably a day or so, whenever the staff people get around to doing that. You can also email us at patrickriggins@gmail.com or drop us a card or letter or anything in the mail, U.S. mail here in care of the station, WNOX, on Kingston Pike in Knoxville, Tennessee. All right, I think that's it. Join me next Sunday afternoon. I got nothing now. Join me next Sunday afternoon. Once again, we'll talk about freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. This is Patrick Riggins. We'll be seeing you next Sunday afternoon. We're going to be at Tori's house in a little while.
Hooray!
Have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on the Patrick Riggins Show. Every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Be there.